Alright, so if you haven't watched the previous video uploaded, this is another Henry. This one, my friend Josh in Minneapolis, or near Minneapolis, I should say, picked up for me. This seller had two Henrys listed for 60, and initially it was kind of the understanding, that maybe that's individually, but no, he was selling both of them for 60 bucks. So he got a Henry, I got a Henry at a great deal. And his is the newer one. I saw this had a 2-speed switch on it, so I was interested in this. And he's like, "Oh, I don't really care if it has the 2-speed or not." And so it's like when looking at him, it's like, "Ooh, well, it's like that one's a newer one." So it's like, he didn't really care about the 2 speeds, and I'm like, "Well, take the newer one, because I figured he would like it." And yeah, he definitely has been. But this one, my other one is an HRV, and this one's an NRV. And this one has the 2-stage 1200 watt motor in it, as to where his is the newer style single stage 620 watt, just like my HVR 200. So, yeah. And I discovered something about this. It's... I don't know if I'll replace this or not. So this band was on here because there is a crack that runs like the whole length of this collar, so they were holding it together. And I believe what actually caused this collar to crack was, this is actually the second one of these models I've had, but my other one I had many years ago. And I think that had a flat interior, but this, the newer style hose has this kind of flared part on here, and I think that this actually collides with the inlet tube for the bag here, because the inlet tube kind of fell out of there. It was definitely out of place, so I'm pretty sure over time, that pushing it in there, and that's probably what led to that cracking too. The person probably over tightened it, and it led to this snapping. So it's like I took the collar and I trimmed it down to ensure that it wouldn't snap the bag tube out of there again. But yeah, this one has the tapered hose. My old one just had a 1.5-inch hose, which was kind of strange. And then it also came with like an adapter and some wands and a floor tool, and they were all larger. But I think I've kind of rambled on long enough, so why don't we take the voltage and wattage. We'll start this off on low speed. To me, it kind of sounds like a filter queen. Oh, do we get the volts? Okay. Watts. Turn it up. And surprisingly, the Microtex filter in here, the cloth type thing, was filthy. So I figured this motor was going to be a lot rougher than it was. It's actually in very good shape, and I decided it wasn't worthwhile for me to do any work to it. Because, that front fan was pretty clean, the bearings sound good, and that motor had a date of 2010 on it. So this motor's 14 years old. This machine wasn't very well cared for, but it's still running like a champ. Henrys are pretty amazing. But let's move on to airflow testing. Alright, we'll start off on low, and then we'll switch it on to high so I don't have to retape this on. And we'll switch this on to high. That's better. So there's low. And then we'll measure the airflow and suction. We'll start off on low here. Alright, we're back on low. 62, switch it on to high. Alright, so here Henry is next to his younger brother here. So, you know, having the two-stage motor, its airflow is actually, if, you know, I'm doing the mental calculations right, I believe it's a little bit less than this. Because I want to say I got about 105 when I tested it on video at the end of this little stub tube. And the body measurement was a little bit different too. Oh yeah, now that I actually have them out, I can see that there is a difference between the inlet tube here. So I suppose on, you know, that little lip kind of seats into here, but it just can't do that on this one. Anyways, as I was saying, you know, the airflow on this one's a bit stronger, and, you know, the suction's a little bit weaker, because we get about 80, maybe a little bit over 80 from this one at the hose end with suction, but we get about 93 with this one. So, you know, I know people were pretty unhappy when they went from, you know, the 1200 watt twinflo motors that these ones used, you know, and moved down to the 620 watt single stage motors. But I actually like this single stage motor quite a bit. I mean, it delivers a huge amount of power for that wattage. And it's really kind of, to me, I kind of look at this as progress, you know. It's like we have an older motor, and we have, you know, we see much more efficiency with a newer motor, or at least a newer motor from a company that actually tries, you know, rather than just slapping more and more watts on something. So they've done a very good job, and I like the Henry 200 quite a bit. But, you know, this one's fun too. Oh, right, I was going to go into the specs a little bit. This one was either... Oh, right, I was going to go into the specs a little bit. This one was either rated for 114 or 116 CFM. I can't exactly remember right now. I'll put a correction down in the editing in here, but I do know it was rated for 110 water lift, as to where one of these is rated for 120 CFM with 100 inches of water lift. So, you know, more airflow, but, you know, 10 fewer inches of water lift. Still, considering the wattage difference between the two, that's very, very impressive.